What's up, lore masters? So today we'll be talking about how it's definitive evidence that, at least in the Trek universe, if a woman becomes drunk, she'll sleep with anyone. We'll also discover that androids can become intoxicated, and how apparently some Starfleet designs are available to the civilian sector. Let's just get into it. When analyzing TNG's Naked Now, it's really evident that they are still trying to get their footing. There are just some things that still don't make sense. We start off with the Enterprise investigating odd interactions they've had with the science vessel that goes by the name of SS Tsiolkovsky, or however the hell you say it. What's intriguing by this is the way the event is portrayed. First off, it has an SS, which generally means civilian ship, versus the USS, which is utilized by Starfleet. However, the vessel is an Oberth-class starship, and most all evidence and continuity seems to indicate that the Federation does not sell or allow its designs to be manufactured by other entities. Yet the fill of the scene and episode makes it seem like the ship is independent. However, on the vessel, there are Starfleet personnel aboard, and the layout and its emergency klaxons are all Starfleet design. So there's a mystery or at least intrigue here on who the vessel belongs to. If it is an independent science vessel, why does it have Starfleet members aboard it? If it's a Federation vessel, why doesn't it have the USS in front of it? Either way, the SS Russian name would apparently have some sort of malfunction or something happen on the vessel that causes all of the crew on it to go absolutely insane. Partying hard, opening hatches, and being being blown out. Sometimes I get confused when someone is being blown or sucked. My apologies, it's apparently a common mistake in the English vernacular. But anyway, they'd all be having fun and getting themselves killed. 80 people would be gone. Even though they had just determined that 80 people had become insane and got themselves killed, and knowing that the star would explode at any moment, Captain Picard decides that it's wise to remain right next to the vessel of doom and within range of the ticking time bomb. Because opting to utilize the tractor beam to get the Oberth-class ship out of range of the star, or just leaving it for dead and getting to safety in case those on your away team are contaminated, would mean more paperwork, and really, who has the time? Anyway, taking a look on that score, when Beverly determines that something may be wrong with Geordi, she decides to quarantine him. Well, not really, leaving him alone in sickbay with nothing preventing him from interacting and infecting other people. Instead, she opts to go to her own work in her own office and not watch him. It's really hard to believe that they would encounter problems in the future with the top-notch staff the Enterprise D has, let me tell you. Unsurprisingly, the crew begin to become infected without any real way to contain it or know where it's going. And, of course, the women, once intoxicated, are insanely promiscuous. Yeah, as you do. We also have another discussion on the ship having stores, indicating currency exists, which will all be retconned in a few seasons, so let's just ignore it. Luckily, during all of this, they would discover that the Enterprise, no bloody A, B, C, or D, would have had the same issue and find a cure. Now they just had to replicate it, which I'm sure is going to just go swimmingly. The next important event, while they're trying to figure out how to cure this thing, would be when the chief engineer and assistant chief engineer think they are being called away to the bridge and medical bay, respectively. The worst Mary Sue in Star Trek, the absolute worst, we'll call him Boy Sue for now, shows up and offers to stick around in case anything happens. While we see the assistant chief engineer ultimately become infected at this point, remember, when he agrees to let Boy Sue stay there, he is still in control of all of his faculties. So the assistant chief engineer would think it is a stupendous idea to entrust a boy who probably doesn't even know the difference between people being sucked or blown out in charge of everything to do with engineering. Apparently there are no adults or trained officers who can handle the job. It is a wonder to me that both of these officers would be replaced in the future. Also, apparently the Enterprise security is so tough that Boy Sue can take over the intercom and apparently take command of the entire fracking ship, with no one having the ability to stop him or bypass what he's done. He would be in complete control. Things would continue to only get worse as a thirsty Counselor Troy also becomes confused and seeks out Riker to see if he knew the difference between being blown out or sucked. Alright, that's the last time I'm using the joke, but it's funny as hell, you guys gotta admit. Picard would try to reason with Wesley to no avail, and ultimately the star would start to collapse. putting the ship in danger. Surprise, surprise. There is one piece I do want to bring up, though, before we get to the ending. In one of the scenes, a very intoxicated Beverly tells Picard that he owes her, that she hasn't been with a man and needs him to help her have sex. Here's a question. Why would he owe her? Did he once have sex with her, creating Boy Sue, and then agreed to have Beverly's husband killed to hide what happened? He took her sex toy away and hasn't been with her. Does this mean an affair occurred? Is it confirmed? Probably. Ultimately, the chief engineer is able to regain control of engineering, but the control rods are completely out of order. Data, still being drunk, would be tasked with getting everything operational in under 9 minutes, but he's not going to be able to do that and gain navigational control until slightly after the 9-minute mark. The doctor would find a cure, it being dispersed, and thanks to Boy Sue's tech, they would get away in time and not be destroyed. And with that avoided, they're off to their next mission, the SS Russian's name all but forgotten. And happy ending even though 80 people are dead. Yay 90s lessons in writing. There is one thing during this though that I find pretty telling. We notice that Riker is not impacted by what's happening, like at all, until the very end, even though he becomes infected the same time as Beverly. Some might call this a plot hole, but I prefer to think that his natural state is being drunk and that's why this occurs. Kind of like when we see in Buffy's the Vampire Slayer when everyone falls in love with Xander, the person who is actually in love with him doesn't seem to be impacted because she always was in love with him. Ultimately, the mission and lore for the SS Russian name, yeah, I'm not going to say it because you guys continually mock that I don't know how to say names, so just screw it. But anyway, ultimately the mission and lore for the SS whatever the name is isn't anything to write home about. Nothing that will make people remember the name Enterprise. But it was an attempt at different ideas. At least that's what I think. All of those are my opinions. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below.